You ever take something apart and put it in a box and mean to get back to it and forget exactly what was wrong with it and why you put it in the box and why it's half apart? That's the case here. So this is a Ward's Airline AM/FM transistor radio, 11 transistor, probably from the 60s, and it's in decent shape, but it's in pieces, and I don't remember what was wrong with it. Yeah, and I looked in my phone and I have the schematic in my phone, so I don't know, maybe I was waiting for the schematic, or I don't know what was going on. Anyway, let's try and make working again it today. Very nicely built. I don't know if it's Hong Kong or Taiwan or Japan. Oh, well, that says Japan, so that must be it. Lots of these lovely gray electrolytics that like to dry out and go open. But yeah, I have no idea. I cannot remember what happened here. And this is the way I do stuff. I put every little piece in a plastic bag so I don't lose the screws and stuff when I take it apart. So let's see if we can turn it on and diagnose it to start off with. Well, what do we have here? We have hiss on both AM and FM and no reception.
So that's what I tell my friends. Listen to Trump first. It's not fair to listen to sound bites taken out of context, because if anyone who has one of those friends that just speaks from the heart and from the gut all the time. 31, installation must commence.
Whatever. I think it's going to take a long time before we see exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a while. And yeah, I'd be all in favor of that. I'd be all in favor of a George Sedano sideline hit from the youth.
More than 50, since 78.
SelectTV.com. From we really need more seriously, and I look around the country. Do now. We'll be right.
Listen to Rush Limbaugh's award-winning radio show.
Close to each other. The thing that happened 2 weeks ago, and the infections have spread 2 weeks ago. And so the places that aren't seeing spread right now need to ask themselves, do I want to become the next Italy? Do I want to be where New York is?
The president also had new comments this morning in a video he posted on his Twitter feed.
You've heard it 1,000 times. Wash your hands, good hygiene, all of that.
So that's with the volume wide open.
Keep away, it's going to have no place to go. And I just want to thank you as president. I want to thank you for the incredible job you're all doing.
6.6 volts on the battery.
We pulled together as a unit. We pulled together as...
And that's KNX. So it's, I don't want to say it's deaf, but it's quiet. I mean, it should be blaring loud.
To be part of the coronavirus task force briefing that is set today for 2:30 this afternoon. When it happens, we'll bring it to you live here on KNX. Don't forget, download the radio.com app.
Let me get an antenna on this.
And he was able to get away with it. He pushed the limits of our legal system. It's really amazing. And even after he became president, he's been guilty of false filings with regard to his dealings with Michael Cohen, his payments sub rosa to women with whom he had alleged affairs. All of that, which is, I guess, is currently under investigation by District Attorney Cyrus Vance in New York.
Looking like a snack should devour me. Your boyfriend's on salaries, my hourly. Throwing bands in Miami.
So FM is extremely quiet. That's the volume all the way up. And the sensitivity, it seems to stop about 100 megahertz.
According to him. Why hasn't there been any legal action by...
Ah, this is a good one. So, poor sensitivity, or I don't want to say poor sensitivity, but really quiet on both bands, and the FM just stops at 100 megahertz. It's just like... Yeah, what's poppin'? Well, the oscillator in this thing stops popping at 100. So, alright, let's think about this. Bad IF amp, bad capacitors. Bad electrolytic capacitor could cause it to be quiet. Silver high gain FM tuner with AFC. So I think the way to go about doing this, because there's very little accessibility to the bottom of this board. This has got one complex dial cord on it. I think the way to go about testing this thing is I'm going to just take a capacitor and just try and jump it across on top like this. And if I hit one that's open, like a coupling capacitor, the volume will just come in booming. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to, it'd be better to do it with two hands, not holding a camera. I'm just going to go through and jump this 10 microfarad across every electrolytic I can get to the, it's easier to get to it from the top than the bottom. Okay, I went across every capacitor here and came up with no change. So I'm going to say it's not, this issue is not an open capacitor. So this is the output. This has got to be the driver transistor. This is the audio amp. So the audio comes into here, drives from here into here. This one drives this transformer. These two drive the output transformer. I don't know what this double thing is. And then these two white things here, those are going to be the FM detector. The AM detector is probably this diode right here. This is the third IF amp, second IF amp, first IF amp. This is probably the AM converter. It's the AM converter coil. I'm not sure what this is. Pull up a schematic and look. I've been doing so many transistor radios lately that I'm starting to get it down. I know everyone wants TV videos, but Bob Anderson has kind of been doing the TV videos, and Radio TV Phononut's been doing the tube radio videos. I might as well do the transistor radio videos. Okay, this thing right here is X12, which is this bias regulation. This one right here is for the tuning indicator on the front of the radio. We don't care about either one of those. The capacitors that would do this problem would be C7. I would suspect that one first by the level of hiss we have. Then C9, that one if that one was open. These would, if these capacitors were open, they would kind of kill the fidelity. The bass would go down and it would kind of sound hollow and tinny, but it wouldn't be 99% dead the way it is. This is a stabilizing electrolytic. We don't care about that. So the main ones we want to look at, 9 and 7. And again, this one would cause it to be tinny and kind of weak, but not so dead. I mean, that's wide. That's the volume wide open right now. And if you listen, it's got quite a bit of hiss. So that's the noise in the output stages here. This is C7 and this is C9. I've jumped both of these and there's no change. So I think what we do is we go after this with the signal tracer, and what we want to see with the signal tracer, if you're not familiar with this. So you got a test point right there. I have a feeling that could be this little thing sticking up. The signal should be like a 1 here and it should be a 10 here. So the signal gets bigger as it goes through the transistor, or louder. So the same thing here, the signal should be a 1 here and a 10 here. So yeah, let's see what we got here. And I have it on the it's on FM, and it's just on, I think, the Christian talk station. That'll probably offend some people because they're talking about whatever, but it keeps me out of the copyright. So
Republicans and Democrats could pass legislation providing immediate, tailored Medicare social safety net regarding the coronavirus patients. Could they do that?
let me try to get this damn thing out of the way here.
There are links to our health programs and all of our programs that are easily accessible.
Before we leave, Dr. Crom, any other advice you want to give people?
I guess my overall advice is this is obviously, understandably, a very difficult time for everyone, and it's causing great anxiety, both because of concerns about one's health and concerns about the economic.
So yeah, this is definitely the base. So that transistor's working, so that's the base.
Both in terms of lives lost and economic damage.
That's the collector. Let's do this one.
We as a community support one another, that we not panic, that we not go out and buy more than we need at any one time, so that the resources available can be distributed evenly among all citizens over time. If we work together, we can get through this.
To give the CDC website for the guidelines.
If people just use virus.gov, coronavirus.gov, they will come to the CDC page with all the advice on how to respond to this.
Same thing there.
Thank you very much for listening to Dr. Michael
Really crank that up.
during this coronavirus
We've been speaking with Michael Crom, the director of the Health Research Group at Public.
That one only has 3 leads. Okay. Try this one. Stand by. I don't know, it sounds good to me. You won't be able to really hear it because of the compression in the camera, but this is out of the first IF.
Radio Hour YouTube channel, and for more from Russell Mokiver.
Out of the second IF.
And Ralph has got 3 books out: The Fable, How the Rest Formed the Congress,
Out of the third IF.
Congress.org, and To the Ramparts, How Bush and Obama Paved the Way for the Trump Presidency.
So what's going on here? The IF seems to be working. Okay, I think the problem, it might be this transistor right here. So the signal comes out of the volume control in, and I put this on audio, not detector. So this is out of the volume control right here. Then this is the coupling capacitor to the next stage. Let me turn this down to give you a better idea, because I know the compression in the camera kills it. Let's see. So that should be louder than this. And then from there it should come into this transformer. But there's no gain here, so this is going into this transistor, and this is coming out of it.
At KPFK, we believe in free speech. Independent.
Wait, KPFK, that's like 89 point something, and I got this thing tuned to 100. Well, we'll deal with that next. I think this transistor is bad, because the signal going into it
You're alive. Make your tax-deductible donation.
is big, coming out of it is weak.
KPFK, as well as present you with an opportunity off of your taxes. And if you donate and get more information, KPFK Auto. Once again, that's 877 KPFK. Oh, peace.
So the looks like the signal size on the base and the emitter are the same size, and the collector is smaller. Okay, let's do some voltage checks here.
Democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The death toll from the coronavirus pandemic has now.
I apologize for using Democracy Now. Like I said, it's simply about copyright, not about anything political. So on the collector, we should have 2.6 volts.
Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte instructed all residents to stay at home except to procure medicine.
We have 5.16 volts, so it's not conducting. Let's take a look at the base. The base is that one right there. It's 0.9 volts. That's about right. Should be 0.8. Let's take a look at the emitter. The emitter should be 0.6. It's 0.9. That's kind of weird. So why is this voltage high and this voltage high? Meaning extra negative. Well, this is odd. Okay, something's not making sense here. We have 0.9 volts here. We have a 33 ohm. So this is the 33 ohm right here. So this is connected to this, and this is connected to this. So on this side of the 33 ohm resistor, we have negative 0.9. On this side, we have negative 0.08. And then over here, we have the 0.08. And here is ground. So is this open, this 33 ohm? Ooh.
The FDA have not approved its use as a treatment for COVID-19. The drug hydroxychloroquine, which is used to treat both malaria and lupus, following Trump's recent statements. In Latin America, Chile has confirmed at least 630 cases of COVID-19. Brazil's closed its borders to 8 neighboring countries for the next 15 days as cases there top 1,600.
I think I've ever experienced that before.
In Ecuador, are currently. The minister has resigned, citing lack of resources and government mismanagement. In Colombia, at least 23 people were killed, dozens injured, as a riot rocked a Bogota.
Here we have a
prisoners
microphonic
protesting dire
resistor.
sanitary conditions and demanding protection from the coronavirus. Colombia is set to go on lockdown.
So
starting
the
Tuesday
resistor's
for a period
bad.
of
That
3
that would
weeks.
make sense
Meanwhile,
why
announced it's postponing president in Central
we have
America.
0.9 here and then nothing here because this is not conducting. So of course the transistor's not working. It doesn't have a reference to ground. So
Olympics, including postponement. The Japanese government also appears to be open to postponement following earlier rejections of the idea. Canada.
this has got to be the most unfriendly to work on radio that I've experienced yet, and that's why diagnose, don't just recap. This thing actually looks like it was manufactured defective. Anyway, I got a new one in there. I got a RN60, which is a mil spec. So let's see what we do. And I've only seen a very few times where, out of doing this for a lot of years, where there's been a bad resistor in anything. Out of tolerance, yeah, but not open like that.
Immigration detention centers are vulnerable to the outbreak of a contagious disease. During my time at ICE and my time at DHS, we had several outbreaks of contagious diseases. The nature of these facilities is such that it's really impossible to engage in the social distancing that we're all practicing right now. So when you look at the population of ICE and who's in those detention facilities, you recognize that really...
Oh, yeah.
When you recognize that their immigration proceedings can continue, even themselves, it seems just very commonsensical to me to say.
You be staying low, but you know what the price is. Ain't never got you know it be.
Good news for Dash bus riders. Even televangelist Jim Baker, his product claimed it would kill the virus within 12 hours. For up-to-the-minute news on the coronavirus crisis, listen to KNX 1070 News Radio on your radio, the radio.com app, or on your smart speaker.
We all want to feel confident when we smile, but with loose or missing teeth, it's not always easy. Now imagine how different life would be if you had perfect teeth. Well, Cunning Dental's new permanent teeth procedure will revolutionize your smile in just one.
Have internet or the proper equipment will be provided with it, as well as putting.
So that sounds like channel 6 right there, like the whole thing is shifted way up. I wonder if somebody turned one of these because it wasn't working. I don't know, maybe I should put it back together before I screw with that, or at least screw the chassis back in. I'm working on putting this puzzle back together. I think I've got most of it figured out now. There's a screw on the bottom of this, it's loose. The only thing I can't figure out is where this went. This came apart, so I need to glue that. I've got some contact cement stuff that will do that, and the AM bar antenna's in the handle on this guy. This is a pretty good quality radio. Montgomery Ward. See the MW there? Airline. So let me let's let's try and align. I noticed it had that stupid double hump, and I hate that with these FM radios. Maybe that is to do, maybe this capacitor is bad right here. Maybe I should have checked that, the stabilizing capacitor. But let's try and align it first and shift the whole FM band down the way it should be. We'll see. I have a feeling someone might have turned one of these.
You can do while you're at home. Check out that podcast. Hi.
Okay, that one's the trimmer and this one's the oscillator. Okay, so let's try and bring that down here. Let me see. Get closer. Getting there. Boy, that thing has a lot of flexibility here. So as long as we don't lose too much of our gain, because that's the volume all the way up.
Run out of mouth.
As the kid becomes increasing.
I've been listening to a lot of music, and I've been cooking a lot. Like I've stockpiled a lot of food. Just trying to stay on top of eating healthy. And we figured out how to freeze greens and vegetables. We made some stock, soup stock, and just trying to make sure.
Get that? No, get the arm off my stage. Say goodnight to frozen. Family. Ask
Called the.
It's harder to breathe. You carry me.
Now that's K-Love. K-Love should be...
Radio.com app or on your smart speaker.
Listen live on your smartphone. Download the Radio.com app and favorite Cheers 101.
Cheers 101.
I love every song.
I listen to you guys all day long.
You guys are the best.
Yeah, I think the sensitivity could be better.
Believers by from prevention and safety
To move forward.
CD live. We're going to play the songs.
It should get some stations here in LA without an antenna on it. It's kind of deaf. It should be a little hotter than that.
You have spiritual communion. No. Special kind of crispy lettuce. Oh, really? You mean like kale? Yeah. You can proceed.
Con su caso, déjame. We've made determinations in relation to critical employees, and our non-critical employees are being trained to do other functions in the department in the county. But I will say that I'm extremely proud in relation to conferencing with nurse practitioners, and is applicable on average a day to 1,200 calls a day. As a fire chief, I am grateful to hear that the county, along with the city and other stakeholders, are doing all that they can to increase the testing for COVID-19. Our medical director that and more.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try and align the coils here at the bottom of the band, peak those. Okay, much like these two, these affect the oscillator and the antenna. That's the oscillator. Yeah, this thing should be a lot hotter than this.
The BBC NewsHour is coming up next at 2 p.m. to let the staff of Take 2 decompress. Today we're going to be bringing you an hour of all things considered early from 2 to 3. This critical coverage of the pandemic comes to you without a paywall and without our traditional spring member drive. We are asking for 300 people to step up today, 160 to go. You can call 866-888-5722 or donate online, kpcc.org.
Yeah.
Kind of just. We'll look at how the coronavirus crisis is reshaping healthcare in America.
This.
All things considered, Monday afternoon at 4 on 89.3 KPCC.
Yeah, this should be screaming loud.
89.3 KPCC.
Cities are closing beach parking lots and urging people to heed the warnings to avoid crowds. And with coronavirus cases.
Yeah, it barely even gets channel 6. Yeah, maybe it'll work better with the factory antennas, but this is LA. This thing should be hot enough to not need that. These super high quality batteries are dated 7/2019. It's funny I don't remember this thing from that short a time ago. And they all measure 1.6 volts. Okay, this is with the factory antennas all put back together. That's television channel 6, low power analog, but that's the volume all the way up.
Kelly, how did the Affordable Care Act change healthcare 10 years ago, and how's the coronavirus changing healthcare today? That story, Monday afternoon.
Way of how they're doing. So they always are.
The Reflex is a lonely child that's waiting by the park.
Down yet? Get ready for local hospital and blood donation centers are hurting for the spurtin of the sweet life-giving red stuff. So get over your stupid fear of needles. You can keep that fear of clowns, though. We get that. And make an appointment. You'll get to fly.
But if we do it together, ya verás que va a ser super fácil.
Value. Spectrum Mobile. A better way to mobile. Now with...
I don't know, the performance is pretty good, and, you know, it just really drops off right at the bottom.
California Department of Public Health Director Sonia.
See if it gets LA oldies. Let's see.
Opportunity for them to everything.
I'd like to pray for the Marian Deacons Priest.
What?
course it does.
3X Law. For a free consultation, that's 833-AXE-LAW. 833-2...
Okay, it's together. I give it a 6 or 7 on the performance. The sound quality is decent, but the FM sensitivity really could use a little.
Have an adequate supply of regular medications and avoid large.
It's interesting, the FM band sensitivity is poor at the top and bottom, but in the middle it's great. Get a year on this thing. Wow, 1964. This thing's old. This radio is old. Anyway, that's repair, diagnosis. Diagnosis is an important word when troubleshooting electronic stuff. That means you actually figure out what's wrong with it through logical deduction and testing rather than, or maybe testing and logical deduction rather than just throwing parts at something like capacitors. So that's a, what is this thing? A GEN, model GEN 1248A. You can put your eBay search in and save it.
This is necessary, never missionary.
I would think the FM tuner should be a little bit hotter. Well, it ran for about an hour and then it just popped and went quiet. Not even much of a pop. And now there's really nothing on AM or FM. Almost wonder if another resistor went open. Totally quiet. Just out of the blue, totally quiet. Secondary infant mortality. When you resurrect something old or fix something old, it takes a dump in the shortly after. That's a real bummer. I thought we had a really solid fix here. It worked for an hour or so. Let's start with checking the voltage. Oh, that's interesting. We have no voltage here on the third IF. Should have negative 5.6. See about the base. Nothing. Let's go back to here. See, we got 0.2. Let's see the collector here. Well, I know I was measuring right here earlier. We had 5 point something. Oh, we only have 1.8. Okay, what's going on here? This is on ground. We have 5.95 volts, but we have no voltage. Let's see about right here. on the we have 1 volt, 1.9 volts on the audio. Let's go. We have like 1.9 volts right here where we should have -5. Where is this coming from? We got 100 ohm. And then here we should have, so what's going on here is did the power switch take a dump? Okay, I'm really riding the short bus on this one, so let's go back to here. Let's go back to here. And this gets 5.6 volts from right there, but only on FM because it's a third third FM-IF amp. So let's go back to this. So yeah, I initially measured it was 0. We'll go to FM on the. And there we go, 5.54 volts. Screw the negative for now. It's all negative because it's germanium and it's all PNP. So forget that. So now this -5 volts. So the -5 volts is super low. The -5 volts is like 1.9. So is this resistor clinky dinkler right here? Where is this resistor? R51. Let's see if we can find that on here. Alright, here's R51 right here. I told you we're late in the afternoon. We're riding the short bus now. It's right there. So it's back right here. So yeah, not easy to get to, and well, let's see. We should be able to test it like this. Okay, right now I'm clipped on to this point right here. 59, 59. I should be able to measure the ohms from here to the negative of the battery, and I'm curious to know if is the resistor open or did something short out and is loading it down. So let's see, we'll go to ohms here, go to the negative of the battery, and we have 95 ohms. So it looks like something shorted and is loading that voltage down. I bet if we took a look at this with the infrared, that resistor would be warm. So what would do that? Oh geez, any one of just about anything here would do that. Huh. So the resistor's fine, something's loading it down. It could be this 100 micropuff right here. It should be consuming 18 milliamps, and it's consuming like 40 to 50. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it cool off and stabilize, and we know that resistor is going to be getting hot. But what we'll do is we'll look at it with the infrared, we'll let it cool off, and then we'll yeah, see what's getting hot, because something is loading that 5-volt line down. Here's a theory behind the thermal observation. So we have our 6 volts from our battery here. Then we have our 100 ohm, which is next to the audio output transformer. We're supposed to have 5 volts here, but something indicated by this resistor is loading this 5 volts down to 1.9 volts. So this is the overload. So this is going to get warm because it's, what, 60 milliamps? 6 volts? If it was shorted, but it's not. So this is where we're getting probably 40 milliamps or 35 milliamps. Well, because this is 1.9 volts, this should be getting warm too. Of course, the majority of the drop is here, so this will get warmer, but this will be producing some heat too, so that's why I want to do the thermal observation. If this happened to be 0 volts, like if this was just shorted straight to ground, all the heat would be here. But since we have 1.9 volts, the heat is, don't think about it as voltage or current, think about it as heat. The heat dissipation is shared between here and here. So we just need to find this, and then we'll know where the problem is in the radio without having to desolder and unplug and disconnect all kinds of different circuits. Alright, looking at the radio with the FLIR infrared, so we can see our resistor. I'm trying to get a pointer here. I don't know. You can see our resistor right there on the left is hot. And then it looks like something... that resistor right there is hot. See, I bent it. Some of the stuff you're seeing, those are reflections. Just ignore those. So we really got... I wish this thing would quit doing that. 80 degrees. So we've really got 2 hot spots here. We got this resistor. Is it this one? It's not this one. It's this one right here. This resistor is hot at the top. And ignore those reflections. And this is the 100 ohm right in here. So I wonder what this is all about. Just let me turn this around just to let the good times roll. So there's our 100 down in there. This is the 100 right here where my finger's moving. Which of course that's going to be hot because you're driving 40 milliamps through it. And then this resistor right here is hot. And that's this one right here. Yeah. So let's see what that's about. Alright, so the resistors that are getting hot, of course, the 100, which is getting hot because it's overloaded. That's why the radio's not working. And this resistor right here is getting hot. This 47. That looks like R26. Interesting, that's this resistor right here. How could that possibly get shorted to ground? The 0.04 looks like a disc capacitor. But that's getting hot. Did the IF can short inside? That would be disappointing, wouldn't it? So on one side of this guy we have 1.9 volts, and on the other side of this guy we have 0.2. So the short is definitely on one side of this thing, but what could be shorted here? You know, this capacitor could be shorted. I don't think it could be the transistor, because the transistor, well, let me look at this. It does not look like it could be the transistor, because the transistor doesn't have anything that's grounded, and it's only a 3-pin transistor, meaning it doesn't have a case ground. So it's almost got to be that, the transformer, or this transformer. Negative 255. Look at that. Watch when I bang on it. What shorted here? Screwing the wax all up. I'll tell you what's weird here. I bang on this disc capacitor. And the voltage fluctuates. Watch this. I'm going to bang on it like this. And of course, it's not going to do it now. See that? I bang on that disc capacitor. It's bouncing up to like 0.28. I'm going to freeze that sucker. Yeah, I'm going to try freezing this disc capacitor here. Let's see what happens. Not a whole lot, huh? Let's try freezing the transistor. Boy, this is a tough one. I was banging on that disc capacitor. I could swear that voltage moved around. This thing is a trip. This thing is a trip. Okay, so something here is shorted in loading this down, if we haven't discussed that enough already. Is it one of the IF transformers, or is it this 0.04 capacitor, which is this capacitor right here? I'm thinking about forcing it, and I don't like to do that, but I can. And the way I do that is I simply apply pressure here and see what gets hot. I force voltage onto this, and I see what gets hot. You know, or what we can do is we could just snip this disc capacitor out, which I don't want to do, but in the interest of time, which of course that didn't fix it. So it's got to be one of the IF transformers shorted. So measuring from this point to ground, I have 7.1 ohms. Measuring from the collector of the transistor, if I could get it on there, to ground, measuring 8 ohms. So the short has got to be in here, because I'm measuring an ohm more. It's like it's shorted right here. I mean, unless it's shorted somehow on the bottom of the board, I don't see how that's possible. Right now I'm connected to this. This is the lowest resistance, right? The pin all the way on the left. And I believe that's pin 2 where it says NC flag 47. And that's the lowest resistance I get, which is 3.8 ohms to the can of the transformer. So I'm going to say that this one right here shorted to ground inside. Okay, so I got the transformer out here and I see what's going on. The primary has shorted to the secondary. And of course, one side of the secondary goes to ground. So what I could do is I could just bypass that. I could put a jumper across that and an FM would work, although because it's a stacked IF system, they're stacked, I believe it would be out of tune, but I could just bypass those two at the back. Crude, I know, but I bypassed it. Let's see what happens. Okay, I tacked our capacitor back in.
It has the most standard.
800-521.
Foibles and not something that's affecting us personally, us being red state voters.
Okay, so I wonder if I could take one of those transformers out of one of those cheap Chinese kits, those AM radio kits, and put it in here. I went through and did some research on these IF transformers, and it turns out that these are all pretty much a standardized setup, even the pin out of the can. So I dug this up. This is a parts board out of like one of those sound design, crappy sound design consoles, one of those cheap late 70s particle board consoles. And I'm looking at that one right there, and it is it's the same thing. And you can see even the colors are pretty much the same. Black, the one that came out of there was black. Pink and blue, these are the FM, final FM, and then the ratio detector. Same thing here, pink and blue. So I'm going to pull this guy out of here, and hopefully the pins all line up. It looks like it's going to, so this must be the stereo demodulator right here.
For more details, press 1 now, or you may press 3 to decline and be removed from this.
Pressure 1. Hey, how you doing? You looking for some capital to a business?
Yeah, that didn't last very long. Alright, I got the transformer out. I hope the leads and all that line up, because this one's a little bit smaller, I think, than the one that was in there. Of course, on this one we have no leakage between the primary and secondary, no short. And just to compare, this is a secondary, this lead is grounded, This lead goes to the detector diode on here. This lead is grounded, goes to the detector diode. On the primary side, this is the non-conductor center tap, or actually this would be B+, and then this goes to the stacked FMIF. Same thing over here, non-conductor. This goes to the resistor that was getting hot. This goes to the stacked FM. Okay, so here's the moment of truth.
The NFL free agency, the Brady move gave us a huge talking point, and today we have a new story today, which I think I tend to be an optimist. You know, I go online. Twitter is such a
about an hour to find out if you're too exposed to stock market swings, if fees are eroding your gains, if you're paying way to mobile.
You end up.
Oh. The hell, it just died again. What?
Football, here comes the end. No. It is great for football. Hey, market crashes.
What? You don't like that IF transformer? Is that what this is about? The converter stalls out?
If the collision window is 8 years old, which...
And listen to the FM. Wow. Let me try something here. It's very hard to do one-handed.
Open a Marcus online savings account in minutes at Marcus.com. You can money.
Comparison made to the 3 largest U.S. banks measure.
So if I bypass that transformer, the FM starts working. So it does not like this transformer. It's a heart transplant that didn't take. The patient died.
Right, but he has an entire American media virtually.
So if I tune onto a strong AM station, I guess the feedback kills the oscillator, the converter. Listen.
Because they correctly reported that it was Democrats in the Senate.
See that? And then I have to restart it over here.
Then they had to change it to the partisan unique.
Familia, siempre te...
Take Ventura Boulevard and jump up to Riverside Drive.
KNX is too strong. The oscillator won't run.
Still a couple of showers popping up here and there, depending on where you are.
Wow.
And there may be more of that.
I have a feeling where the mismatch is occurring is the little radio has 3 FM/IF stages and 2 AM. Well, this only has 2 FM and 2 AM. So essentially the transformer that I took out is for a 2 FM/IF stage set, where the one I took out of the radio is for a 3 FM/IF stage set. Now would I take this one, the white one, and put it in the radio? Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to match the FM. Or do I just bypass and make it a AM only or an FM only radio? Okay, I put the white one in there. Let's see what this one does.
24-hour traffic center, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Well,
those can be found exactly where you're coming from. Stuff is just freaking fantastic. Wow. Great. There's a funny bit the other day where Mel Brooks Jr. was on the other side of the glass. There's a video that was going around. The other side of the glass from his dad. I guess it was just his dad, but they made reference to Carl Reiner too, and I'd forgotten that both of those comedy legends are still kicking. Well, that's cool. Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks are still alive. Yeah, Woody Allen are all still alive. Yeah. Those 2,000-year-old man things that they used to do.
Focus of our church is on Jesus Christ.
oh, that's awesome. See if the FM works.
A love to the number 21,000. More time to get limited hours.
He can rescue you from any and everything.
Let me try this.
Give to you everything you could possibly dream of, or take it all away. Where is God in your life? Living in the awareness of His be with you, and I will never leave you. I will always be. Single one of us lives every day in the presence of God. But do we live in the awareness of His presence within our life? He just wants you to be aware of Him. Because He knows that in that awareness, everything develops in our life. If I'm aware of His presence, it's going to affect me in every single area of my life, and it's going to affect me for good.
That is bad sensitivity.
If we get busy and don't read the Word of God, or we let sin become a part of our life, let me ask you a question.
Bad.
How many of you just love the top?
The volume's all the way up.
Most countries offer relief or that help? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's the person earlier said it's disaster capitalism. Sure.
Thanks for joining us today, and be sure and come back tomorrow for another.
I know it's red. I know that. Probably not the vertical you're in.
Monday to Friday, at least like 5 to 6 days a week. So I have to do something to keep active.
Health officials say getting outside is fine, just not in truth.
Disclose the racial disparities on the boards.
Emily Valdez, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Ford Motor Company is announcing helping to overcome the medical supply shortage. It is partnering with GE Healthcare to produce ventilators to treat coronavirus patients. Again, New York is saying they need them. They've got hundreds, thousands of patients. Ford president and CEO Jim Hackett told CBS this morning they've done things like this before, including building bombers during World War II.
We also actually built ventilators way back in history for premature babies and iron lungs when there was the polio epidemic. So these are Ford folks at their best.
Here's the issue, though. The hospitals and everything, they need the ventilators now, and the Ford CEO is saying that they should be ready in early June. 9:50 at KNX.
Andrew, what looks like the Wall Street Journal is taking a look at some of the big winners and losers in this coronavirus pandemic. Restaurant restaurants, airlines, customers, while spending among consumers boomed in other areas, including groceries, general merchandise stores, munition shops, and marijuana suppliers among the winners. Also, mortgage applications have surged as interest rates have dropped. Federal Reserve taking extraordinary steps to finally put interest rates to zero. Their benchmark rate, which has impacted short-term loans, including your credit card loans, in many cases, other consumer loans, and auto loans, and now Congress.
That squealing and the lack of selectivity is awesome. Probably because that transformer is way too broad, because it's not the final IF transformer. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this. I need the right IF transformer. This shows that this is a good learning experience. I didn't know these things were that critical.
Has stabilized at least 3 points. 1,750 points at 20,332. We were above a gain of 1,800 just a little while ago. Big rally going on as this it's a bear market rally. We are bouncing back from recent lows. We check.
Okay, I just jumped it.
Here doing the show each and every day, unless that changes. No. Okay. Right. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff going on. I've heard, like, radio stations furloughing people. Right.
Playing music for the time being.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't figure out exactly. $500 Amex.
So, it's almost useless. It's almost freaking useless. Needs that IF transformer because neither the AM or the FM work right without it. What I did, if you can't see it, is I bent the secondary pins and I put the primary back in. Still not any good.
At this point, I'm in a corner of my bedroom, looking out the window.
Video, sure, yeah. Talking about pop, got like 32,000 in one of my pockets.
Still good enough to get this. Yeah, who knows? Maybe some of the other IF transformers are going bad. Well, it was a fun attempt, but I'm going to put it back together. I need the right transformer. Can't just, we could get it to work and prove what's wrong with it with other substitution parts, but actually getting it to work right, man, that's not going to happen. Do we get 2 in one video here? I would figure, go ahead. Hello, do you copy? Check 1, 2. No? Okay.
CEO of Bottom Line Inc. For nearly 50 years, we've helped over...
You know what? With the actual antennas on it that are supposed to be on it, it's actually working pretty good.
Look at Bert.
Maybe I should put the white transformer back in it, because at least then the AM kind of works.
walked out with the items in her cart, loaded them up, and took off.
They tracked her down and found the stolen goods, including some garbage bags, some clothes, and
toilet paper. And this is not something that we normally see. Maybe it says something about the time that we're in right now.
So it is the reaction the department got after tweeting a picture of the recovered items.
The kind of comments we're getting on social media already, they're like, wait, what? Walmart has toilet paper? I didn't know that.
That report from Megan Goldsby. Another case, a woman in Louisiana accused of stealing 5 big rolls of toilet paper and 21 bottles of vodka.
Not the way to align it, but hey, whatever.
Wisdom says we're creatures that need social contact. Isolation.
It ain't right. All the stations are running on top of each other.
Quietly for few.
And will shut them down, he says, and urge citizens to report them as well. Some welcome news for Torrance Transit bus riders.
Don't try to act like you don't know who we be, neither.
Oh, yeah.
We just put the wrong channel, surprise pop off. Shady aftermath.
There's no selectivity. All the stations are just running on top of each other.
Go to the iHeart. $150.
Maybe you can show me how to love.
95.5 KLOS.
And you're coming up.
To join us either by phone or social.